Max, the young boy, was played by a 10-year-old actor, has to really interact with Adam. And you realize there's this shadow motion, so if that Adam is capable of doing. So if Max were to move his head, you know, then Adam's going to do the same thing, goes back to the other side. So there had to be a real connection, which would be helpful for a young actor, you know, something to react to. But back to how we were building these, when we were designing all of these parts in the computer, we were having to figure out how they're going to work, how they're going to function, coming up with a hydraulic package that would go inside. The other thing we had to figure out was something this big, when you're moving a head that size, the only way to really move it is not so much with RC or cables, but the hydraulics, because it makes it move very smooth and precise. And it works off a telemetry device, like behind you there in the corner. I don't know, is it Mike or is it, no, Brian's on it right now. Whatever Brian does with the head is translated real time to what Adam is doing. So that made it very controllable. But we had to figure out how to get those hydraulic system in and out of the set really quick. And when I worked for Stan Winston many years during the Jurassic Parks, we figured out a hydraulic system to control those dinosaurs. But we needed something very user-friendly and quick to get in and out, so we designed a special pump that was very small and on wheels that we could kind of get in and out like a pit crew, so that we would get these things set up in about 10 minutes time. And then we have the whole control system over here, so it's computer-controlled hydraulics, essentially. It's not even hydraulic fluid in it anymore. It's very organic. It's grapeseed oil. So if there's a leak or anything, it's non-toxic. You know, so bringing the hydraulic system into, you know, the modern, you know, 21st century. But each part, going back to how it was designed and made watertight in the computer so that we could rapid prototype all the parts out, meaning some of them were grown, some of them were milled, and then once they got into the artist's hand, they either had to make it perfectly smooth finish like a race car on this guy, or on Adam, you know, a chipped and dented and beat up look. Then all of those parts were molded, and they're taking, yeah, I'm talking about you. But then, you know, all these parts were molded, and then they were cast up out of really lightweight, strong urethanes, and then, you know, with all the different paint finishes. I think this hydraulic puppet of Adam was about 250 pounds. Most of them were, even these bigger guys, because of this lightweight urethane parts. The stunt versions, there were stunt versions made, just like stuntmen in movies, that the ones that get thrown and tossed around and whatever were made, and those weighed a little bit less, but you couldn't tell the difference in them.
So is this one of your hero?
This is a hero one because it has the hydraulic package inside of it. And then all these joints could be loosened up and rod puppeted, and the hands were actually RC movement. We don't have all those functions because it would take too big a crew here to do all of that. But I think each robot was roughly 350 parts that were cast. Some of these are machined. Most of the feet were actually machined by the team at Legacy out of metal. Same with Noisy Boy, and there's a really talented crew of about 70 people working to create the 6 hero, or I call them hero because stunt and hero, and then there are 21 background robots made as well. And we did all of that work in about 4 months. We spent about 6 weeks computer designing all the parts, and then 4 months of building before we had to ship it all off to Detroit, Michigan. I think the LED lights, Greg, who's back here, he programmed all of these in on Noisy Boy, and I think it's 1,200, approximately 1,200 LED lights in there. And kind of a fun thing, since we were shooting in Detroit, a lot of these blue lights that are in Adam are actually surplus from Detroit. So it's only fitting that they went back home. Do you guys have any questions?
Sorry, yes. How many did you make? Was there just these two, or did you have?
There was a stunt version and a hero of every one of the three main characters that Hugh had.
Okay.
It was Ambush, the blue one, Noisy Boy, and Adam. Then there were 21 background ones that are used in the film, which were the team at Legacy just all kind of jumped in and built things out of various parts that kind of fit into the world. Really some fun characters.
What about with Zeus?
Zeus, we should have built him. Eric would have liked that. We would have liked that. But I think, going into the film, there's fiscal parameters and all. You look back on hindsight and everybody says, hey, we should have. But I think even fiscally, it probably would have helped too if we had built it.
So Zeus is CGI?
I would say probably, I would say yes. It is mostly CGI. But there are, I should really find out what the final shot count is. There's a lot of practical shots. And even every shot that there was going to be one of these robots in the film, even if it was determined from the get-go that it was going to be CG, we would bring it through the frame anyway, because it gave Eric and his team great reference. And